let us know when it's ready to go again.
Okay, I believe we should have comms now.
Can you all hear me? Can you all hear me? Welcome to Monza, welcome to the Temple of Speed. This is my second time doing the intro, so excuse me if I say anything again. My name is Tom Maloney, as per usual, and tonight I am joined by Lexi Bowen. How are you?
Hello, Tom. It is great to be here for the rerun of Monza following our technical issues last week for Split Red. We should be in for quite an exciting affair tonight.
Thank you. And also joining me tonight is Neil Haynes. Welcome to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, fellas. It's great to be back on this rerun after the excitement that we had last week until we had those technical problems. So should be a good one again here, fellas. So let's sit back and enjoy this one.
Absolutely. Split Blood is going to do Split Blood things, we all hope, unless you're a steward, in which case, good luck to you. I don't know why you signed up to Steward Split Blood. Just quickly before we kick off, just wanted to shout out Glenn Germain. As Neil mentioned, we had some technical hiccups last week, and Glenn's our technical administrator here at Octane Online Racing, and he's done some monumental work through the week to try and work out what's going on and sort that out. We had a almost flawless race last night. We're crossing our fingers that tonight goes just as smoothly. Looks like the weather's treating the drivers a bit nicer. And secondarily to shout out is our debut broadcaster, Benjamin Hignett, who's already had one cock up, and we hope that that's his last one. And we've got some comms now, so looking forward to having Ben run the cameras tonight.
The question is, how many warnings do I get before I'm fired?
Mullet, if you're in chat, let us know. He's just asking how many warnings does he get before he's fired. I reckon it's one.
Well, if we're going to base things off of real life racing, then I think it's 4 track limits and you're out.
So it looks like Sang's got back right into the thick of things, straight on the fastest time already into qualifying with 10 to go. But Shady Samuel also not too far away. Actually, Sang second there on the list. Sonicus, as the both Sonicus brothers were doing good last week, as was also the Johnson pair as well.
Yes, currently have JP leading the way on a 46.7 in the 44 McLaren, with his brother John about 1.1 seconds back in the 555 McLaren. As we jump on now. JP, who's coming around the final corner, formerly known as Parabolica, now known as Alvareto. He'll keep it nice and tight as he runs it towards the line in that Kovacs Triple Crown entry. Beautiful livery. And does he improve? Yes, he does, by 0.3 of a second to a 46.497.
It's a mighty lap. And this split definitely a bit more car variety than there was last night. There's a McLaren, there's BMWs, there's Ferraris, there's a Nissan, there's a Lexus, a Lucas Keys. This is what you want to see.
Yeah, and a big shout out we're here from Mullick as well too. Glenn, he's not feeling too well tonight, so hopefully he is get the ability to tune in. And I'm sure that Benjamin's going to keep everything nice and on the straight and narrow, I should say.
Absolutely, we're just over halfway through qualifying now. So the guys starting to set up. So 46.497 is already a pretty mighty lap. Chris Sang's found another 10th and a bit. Luke Johnson matches that lap time as well. You will never see that, will you, JC?
Yes, JC in chat is having a wonderful time looking at that split there.
So Sang and Johnson sharing a lap time for second and third, and then it's pretty close again, sort of all the way down to 7th place, and there's a huge log jam. 8th down to 15th is all within half a second, so looking forward to seeing who can climb out of that and jump up in front of that little pack there.
Yeah, certainly it's all very tight right now. So we've still got 8 minutes to go in qualifying, so plenty of time for these drivers to improve. Track conditions are really nice right now. 22 ambient, 29 track. You couldn't really ask for a whole lot better.
I think the guys in Split Green yesterday are probably a little bit jealous when they start nice dry track that the Split Red experienced on this rerun.
No, we want wet. Wet's good. We want to commentate over wet. Wet is fun. As JP pulls it quits on that little stint and jumps back in the pits. Following his brother now, John Sonicus, on another lap. He's got himself within half a second of his brother. We'll see if he's got a bit more fuel in the tank to try and just keep finding the rest of that half a second to get himself onto the front row. Nice clean turn 1 and 2 through Curva Grande, which is just don't lose any more time than you absolutely have to. Little steering as possible. Get it lined up on the right hand side for the second chicane. Gets the car slowed down nicely, keeps it tight through the first part to open up the second. That McLaren looks like it's behaving itself pretty nicely as he's got that lap up and running.
Yeah, he's obviously nice and settled here. It'll be good to see what the delta is if he is up, but he's obviously pushing hard here through the Lesmos. Oh, a bit wide there, but probably still on the gas by the looks of that.
Quite
Generous.
yes, that's the word I'm looking for. Generous through Lesmo 2 as he runs it tight through the Ascari chicane, keeping them flat to the floor. That is really well run through those. Now it takes the long run down towards the Alboreto curve.
Yeah, nice clean lap so far. He's still pushing on, so got to think he's found some time. Gets that line through Alboreto, nice and smooth, nice and tight, minimises the distance to the finish line. We'll see how much time he's found. Shady Samuel's got within less than a tenth of John Sonicus. JP Sonicus, sorry. John Sonicus goes up to P3, 3/10 off, and Corey Sweet just behind him as well. So it's nice and tight up the front in the field, which bodes well for the race coming up in about sort of 10 minutes time.
Talking about the race coming up, we have got the poll there on the YouTube channel. Will we see any rain the start of the race tonight? So there's been a few votes in there, but obviously there's a few people maybe hoping for a bit of rain as some of the commentators here. But we're going to see what Sam can do as he's now starting his flyer after coming out of the pits.
That's a cool
reply is.
Obviously, Chris won the Duo Cup race at Watkins Glen with his teammate over the weekend. So coming off a bit of form, which is always nice to see.
Yeah, Wong had a good steer, didn't he, as well, his teammate? So they did really, really well in there at Watkins Glen, didn't they?
Absolutely.
Very, very good so far this season. Looking over at the standings, he is on top right now. Seems to have quite a bit of pace in that BMW. Will be looking to find as much as he can on this lap as he's using all the extremities of the track.
Yeah, this lap is certainly up and running. We'll see how the BMW goes to Ascari. The McLaren kind of ignores all the little sausage curves. The BMW tends to have a bit more structural fairness to its floor. BMW absolutely clunking all the curves, getting it nice and tight on the way out, flat to the floor, and it's just one very, very deceptively difficult corner to go before he closes this lap out. We'll see how much of a dent he's made in that half a second to JP Sonicus.
Pretty well rounded drum. Alboreto did have a few stabs at the steering wheel. Now comes up to the line and up to P3, so about 2/10 away from the 46.47 that JP was able to set earlier. But Hussein can be happy with that so far, as we are now looking at Corey Sweet, who's just behind on track, currently sitting P5.
A nice little toe as Corey from that BMW. This toe's not particularly strong in this game, but that'll be, of all the tracks where you could get a toe, this is the one you want to toe at.
Comes up into the De La Roggia chicane, brakes super tight, get your line absolutely bang on, as any collisions with those sausage curbs can be fatal for your lap. Lesmo 2 now want to maximise as much of the track as he can, and does so pretty well. Doesn't quite get out onto the dust as you saw Sang do just ahead, but looking pretty clean so far from Corey Sweet.
Absolutely, he's well and truly up and running. He's got 3.5 tenths to find to catch up with JP Sonicus. And he's going to cross the line with about 1:30 to go. So he's got 2 more laps, you'd have to say, to make that time up. We're getting towards the absolute pointy end. And just wanted to point out as well, every single car in that sort of top 23 within 2 seconds. That is a really, really nice tight group, and that's really good to see.
Yeah, it's going to look like it's going to be a tough race for right through the pack as well. But what can Corey do? He's lost a little bit of ground on Sang, but I don't think he's improved there, fellas.
He hasn't. He's done he's about a 10th off. So one more go.
Is now within a 1/10 of a second of JP Sanikis' time. So Sang finding a lot of pace in his BMW late on. Could he potentially steal that pole position right at death?
Yeah, both JP and Samuel Shady's are on track as well, so we'll wait and see what happens while they're out as well, as we're looking at Sang. And you can see camera 2 on JP as he's just started his lap.
Both of these drivers are pretty much on their last laps now. All comes down to this, especially for the likes of Shady Samuel, Chris Sang, and John Sneakers behind the current provisional pole sitter, JP Sneakers. So as JP is off, that is it. JP will not be improving. So the drivers behind have a huge opportunity here.
So I think he went a bit too hot into Lesmo 1, and that front end just wasn't playing ball. It's now down to Chris Sang at the moment. It's going to be the first front runner to cross the line to see if he can make a dent in this pole effort from JP. 1 corner to go. Gets that car tucked in nicely. A couple of stabs at the steering wheel just to get that thing to keep coming round. Keeps it tight. You'd have to think he's up just based on the fact he's still going. We'll see what he can do. And he does improve, but only by about 17 milliseconds. He's still behind Shady Samuel. That is so close. We're jumped on board with Shady now, who's also going for it. That Nissan is doing everything a car shouldn't do to Ascari. We'll wonder and see how much time he's lost just by the fact that he's been distracted by that Nissan. He's equal. He's equal with his time. We'll see if he can find some time through the final corner. He brakes so late, that Ferrari squirming around. And we'll see if he can keep that time all the way through. That Delta is going to sneak its way down to 0. I don't think it's going to be enough to jump JP, and it's not. He finds 100th of a second.
Wow, not bad.
Talk about small improvements, as Kong will have a much larger improvement, up to P8 for Kong. That's really well done by the number 6 McLaren.
Absolutely, and just pointing out that John Sonicus has jumped up to P4, 2.5 tenths up. Luke Johnson snuck himself up there as well. So that is qualifying done. That was pretty exciting.
Certainly was, and it ended up with Jean-Pierre Sneakers on pole position in that number 44 McLaren, and then just behind you had the likes of Shady Samuel, Chris Sang, John Sneakers, and Luke Johnson, all very, very tight in there in that top 5.
So we're going to see Ben Hignet's first attempt at a free cam grid walk. There we go. Look at this. Any disgusting liveries like the old steak livery and the Honda from last night to come across in this pack, you reckon, guys?
Well, we sometimes have a very colourful Lamborghini here. I think it might be Rochford's. I'm not 100% sure, but
And
we'll
Ben Dyke.
see.
Yeah, I was about to say Mitchell Bendyke. That sounds like a Bendyke livery.
Yeah, it might
Coming
be.
up to it now on the left-hand side.
No.
Yes.
There we
Oh,
go.
Yes.
He's out again.
It's not as bad as some of his old ones, but still quite disgusting.
Otherwise, just a nice pack of liveries there. Everything's sort of all got its own little bit of charm.
It does. Really, really nice liveries put together there by the grid on for Split Red. Of course, many of these liveries have been created by the fantastic community members in the Octane Online Racing Discord server.
Absolutely, there's plenty of talent going around, and the track temperatures come up a couple of degrees, so no chance of rain, you'd have to say, based on that forecast and that complete and utter lack of wind, which is immensely depressing.
Yeah, and also, well, we've got a 70-minute race instead of the 60 that we've been used to, so an extra 10 minutes. Still the 2 mandatory stop as well. And we'll have to obviously see. The guys will obviously probably split that up in equal parts. Maybe they might pit, what do you think, guys? It's probably 25, 30 minutes in or something like that.
Yeah, split into 3.
Yeah,
there's no chance of really. You just make it three stints.
Depending on what's going to happen with that little weather forecast too, I think, fellas.
Yeah, I don't think there'll be a lot that will change, especially given that, yeah, there is no such wind to discuss, and, well, it's pretty sunny at the moment, so I don't think there'll be much change. So I think most of these drivers will sort of split that roughly 25, however long they need. Yeah.
The other thing is, because you got those 2 stops, is it does give you the opportunity. There's obviously the undercut can be, as JP leads us off in the formation lap, the undercut doesn't necessarily work that well. So if you can hold on a bit longer, you tend to find a little bit of an advantage. So we'll see if anyone decides to fuel a bit longer and sort of split that second half of the race into 2 smaller chunks.
Yeah, I believe through the series too, I think I've commented before, I think Sang's one of the drivers that do like to go a little bit longer than the others. Obviously, also we'll have to keep an eye on Karuden there in position 9 in the Audi. Getting a bit of cheek there last week in the wet, but obviously dry. We'll just see how he fares tonight.
So we've already got some cars off track just to start with. It's the formation lap, boys. You're ghosted. So, come on, chat. What are your predictions for the start? Is it going to be nice, easy, single file? We didn't have a safety car last night. Will we get a safety car tonight? Will it be JP in front, Shady, his endurance teammate, or will Chris saying get in between everyone? Or is there going to be just utter chaos and Mike Reel is going to be in the lead after turn 2, because that's the way sometimes turn 1 at Monza goes?
Well, I'll tell you what, Mike would be very happy if that did happen, but I don't think it's going to be that bad, but yeah, we'll wait and see. Obviously, it looks like also Lucas Keys, his livery's just not showing up. The DHL livery, obviously a black Lexus there in position 7.
He's going to be in trouble at the start. That Lexus is so fast in a straight line.
Yeah, he was looking good there last week as well. But we've got to remember there was a couple of dropouts, so he did push up the order, but qualifying 7th. He's got some pace, as you said, in that Lexus around the long straights here of Monza.
Just looking at the way these drivers are preparing on their formation laps, and there's a few drivers ghosting all over the place, so that is a precedent for what we're about to see on this first lap going into turn 1 at the Retrophilia chicane. Then I reckon I'd agree with Alex, I'm in chat, that we might be getting the big one.
I don't think we've had a lap 1 safety car yet.
Power results, no for 65%, 34% we're saying yes for the rain. But obviously, as we can see, guys, the next 30 minutes, nice and clear.
We are just coming around to the final corner. It is JP Sonicus and Shady Samuel on the front row. Following them is Chris Sang and John Sonicus. We're going to get this race underway very, very, very soon. Lexi, because you are so experienced at calling at Monza, I'm going to give the race start to you.
Well, thank you, Tom. So we have JP Sonicus, Samuel Sang, John Sonicus, Luke Johnson, Sweet, Keys, Kong, Kyrun, and Buskovus, your top 10. We are about to get underway for this race here at Monza. The green flag has fallen and we are racing. Sang has gotten off to a very, very good start just behind Sonicus. Samuel dropping back a little bit. Can Sang potential, actually a little bit of a bump and run there, or behind JP Sneakers from Sang. Sang trying to go around the outside. Sneakers closes the door. Sang has to go off the road. Behind, everyone's getting around okay, and then John Sneakers is spun around, and there is calamity further back. Bits of carbon fiber flying everywhere, and the drivers will hopefully make their way around now as they try to navigate through towards the De La Rogia chicane as we look on with Luke Johnson, who's trying to have a dive up the inside, saying that's not going to work there, my friend. But right now, it is JP Sneakers who is still leading the way now from Chris Sang and then Luke Johnson in P3.
Absolutely. First couple of cars got through reasonably unscathed, and then sort of there were this usual turn 2 checkup at Monza just started to cause a little bit of chaos, and unfortunately John Sonicus has found himself running around at the back of the field to see what sort of progress he can make as this 70-minute race goes on. And I know there's a little bit of chaos at the second chicane as well, but we are not having a safety car.
It seems the drivers managed to get through pretty well despite the instances. Sang goes really wide there coming out of the Ascari chicane. You had Shady Samuel behind also do a little bit of the same, but not quite to the extent of Chris Sang. Shady Samuel looks really, really racy right now. He's tucked up behind the McLaren of Luke Johnson in what is a stunning Castrol livery.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with that one.
There is no such thing as a bad
I
Castrol.
think the car 22. They had a little bit of an issue there, but I think deja vu for John Sonicus, I think it was. I think he had the same problem last week too in the first chicane, so he would be a happy man as we're looking at the replay here.
Get that up full screen for everyone shortly. And Lucas Keys was car 22, so he was around at Ascari. So he'll be relying on the grunt of that Lexus to get everything moving. Luke Johnson bending off the push from Shady Samuel so far. And the straight line guts that McLaren, proving just enough at the moment alongside the talent behind the wheel to keep that McLaren in front. Here's a replay of the start. John's going to go around the outside of the Ferrari, and he's going to get punted from behind by, I'm not sure who it is in that McLaren.
Looks like it might be Kong.
Yeah, I think it was Kong. So
yeah, unfortunate again for John.
That was some lap 1 difficulty, if you could ever describe that sort of thing as lap 1 difficulty. But he's still running. There won't be too much damage because that was as slow speed as it could be. But it is, at the moment, not quite a J Sonicus bookend of the field. JP is out in front, half a second in front of Sang. Comfortably leading, just comfortably, slowly stretching that gap. Ali Khairudin started 9th, he's now 6th. With a pretty ripper start. Getting that Audi to good use.
Certainly is. Khairudin, a very, very fast driver in his own right, but that Audi can present a few problems right now. He seems to be doing pretty well, as we see in the background. That is good old Cameron going for a move, but now Carl Johnson trying to dive up the inside there of Kong, who was involved on that start collision with John Sneakers. We got McLaren, and Nissan in this. Gotta love the Nissan.
You weren't going to say that 4 months ago, were you?
No.
It's nice to see the Nissan back and somewhat competitive. As Carl's going to have another look down the inside of Brian. He's sent Brian a little bit deep. He's going to absolutely compromise the exit. Carl got enough room to get that McLaren alongside the McLaren of Brian Kong. He absolutely does. Takes the inside line into Lesmo 1. Brian Kong turns down a little bit deep, you have to say, and unfortunately has spun off to the outside. Carl Johnson takes that position, and now he's going to have to fend off Cam Thistlethwaite behind him for P7.
He's got a good run, Cam, hasn't he? He's going to be on the outside, be a brave man, but he's obviously going to see if he can upset Johnson here.
Backs out of it. That was smart there. Thistlethwaite, he was never going to go around the outside of Ascari, as the pit window is now open. But yeah, camera will just want to be using the straight line speed of that Nissan as we now have a battle for the lead between Jean-Pierre Sneakers and Chris Sang. Chris Sang with lightning fast pace, currently setting purple laps out there.
Yeah, JP's gonna have to defend this one. You'd have to say he will hug the inside line and tell Chris, you got to go the long way around. Chris feints the outside, feints the inside. Can't brake as late as JP though. He's going to have a quick look around the outside. Nothing doing there. That's the end of that battle there. We'll see if Chris has the straight line speed to challenge into the second chicane, but nothing doing so far.
Yeah, JP's going to make it difficult. Obviously, he's second in the championship, trying to chase down Sang after missing around. So, you know, JP's definitely got, you know, victory in his sights for this one if he can. So, you know, he's going to make it hard for Sang and maybe hope for maybe a little slip up from Sang. Oh, talk about slip up.
Oh.
Keys off into the barrier. That was a replay from lap 1, I believe.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was. It's a big accident there for Lucas Keys, and he is currently sitting in the pits, serving one of his mandatory pit stops. Of course, had to wait to come in before he could.
Yeah, that'll hard to believe that wouldn't be anything less than about 3 minutes damage. That was a very hefty hit. So he'll probably go a lap down. We'll follow JP here and see when Lucas starts moving. You can see him in the mini-map on the right-hand side of your screen. Firelord saying that'll buff out. I don't believe you.
Yeah, but look, there's going to be a lot of battles right through, as you can see. There's a lot of guys close, so it's going to be director's nightmare, but I'm sure we're going to get as much action to you guys. Doing a great job here at the moment as we're looking at Luke Johnson. Seeing if he can get...
Shady's got past Luke.
Yeah, I was going to say, Shady's in front of him, so...
Just noticed as well that Robin Herbert in the 565 McLaren came to blows at Lesmo 2. So he's now at the back end of the field. We'll see where Lucas can come out. He's already in the YouTube chat. That's how long this is taking him. $50. That's just a bit more than you paid for the game, isn't it?
$50 and a bottle of red wine or something like that. Yeah.
Halfway packet when he blows.
That's it.
Meanwhile, out front, Chris Sang has taken the lead.
He has two.
That BMW has got some power. I think he may have done that. Maybe coming out through the Curva Grande, maybe.
Yeah, sort of coming out of the Rectifilio chicane and into Curva Grande. Seems to have gotten the power down, but now Jean-Pierre Sneakers hasn't let him go, as we now have a replay at the move. Is he gonna do similar to what he did before, try and dummy to the outside? No, he's actually just gonna go all the way around the outside, brakes as late as he possibly can. Jean-Pierre tries to tighten him up at the apex, but that is a really nice move there by Chris Sang. That is unbelievable.
Yeah, great driving by the both of them.
Yeah, good position of that BMW, wasn't it? So great drive by Sang.
Great respect shown too by Jean-Pierre Sneakers. Now has an opportunity to potentially try Sang. Thistle Plate is trying to defend now from Walsh. These two are both in the silver class. Thistle Plate P8 and Walsh P9 overall right now in this race.
Speaking of classes, can I just point out how much of a scam it is that Luke Johnson remains a silver class driver? Man was P3 in the Sprint Championship 2 seasons ago. Regularly in the top 5 there. No chance in hell he is a genuine silver driver. We've got another replay. We're following Robin Herbert, who, as we said before, came to blows at Lesmo 2. Pretty wide, and I think he's going to get helped around there. That is genuinely unfortunate. I think it was... can't see who it was behind him that caused that, but... something for the stewards to look at.
Just looking down, there's a few penalties popping up. 15 seconds for Parkin and 15 seconds for Kong. I assume Kong's penalty will be for... It's the stars we're just seeing in camera 2. There's a little bit of a move going on there.
This is racing a plane. That's Pete Viney behind. So that's Mike. Is it Mike Reel? No, I can't see. Yeah, that's Mike Reel that went past him, I believe. So nicely done. It's been apart from 2 or 3 probably pretty clear-cut incidents. It's been pretty clean racing so far from Split Blood. I'm used to 17 wide through Curva Grande and all sorts of other rubbish. This is very tame.
Maybe all they needed was a second chance.
We give our rookies one restart a year, so
has gone off there as well.
that's Kidman. He was running P16 just behind Pete Viney, so maybe there was a bit more of a battle going on.
It's been drifting a little bit through the entry of Alboreto, but has come out looking pretty straight there in that BMW, tucked into the slipstream of the Nissan.
And Sang and Sonic is still attached nose to tail. There's movies about that I can't recommend watching, but they're still joined at the hip. We're watching Stan Buskovus in a uniquely coloured Ferrari, you have to say, being followed by a very uniquely coloured Lamborghini. Mitch Bendyke starting to make some moves through the field in the lead Lamborghini. We're going to watch and see what happened here to Kidman behind. He's missed his braking zone entirely, and oh,
that is...
Yeah, it looked like he was actually trying to not get into the apex of the corner after he outbraked
did he punt
himself.
John Sonicus?
Yes, he did.
He did.
But that will be a hefty penalty there for Kidman, because that was very clumsy indeed. Just yeah, broke too late and couldn't really do anything else. But either way, there'll be a massive invoice coming for that.
I think unfortunately John's decided to call in the night, which John's been taken out twice. Is pretty understandable, you have to say. We're still following Stan Buskovus here. He's got as much clear air between 2 cars as you probably can while still being in touch with everyone. He's running his own little race just behind Ethan Small, who's the lead AM driver. And Stan's actually the lead Pro-Am driver, to be honest. So the 2 lead class leaders running around here. Kyle Johnson running P7. He's managed to ward off Cam Thistlewaite. And this and behind, that gap's not something that can really be worried about. Got a Ferrari coming out of the pit lane just in front. But this gap here between between Luke Johnson, there's a lot of cars pretty close together, so strategy's going to play a big part in how people deal with how this race goes for this little pack here.
Yeah, I think Karuna's been slowly reeling these 2 guys in as well, so maybe after I think it's Shady got in front of Johnson. Johnson, got in front of Sweet, I think it was. Oh no, Shady got in front of Johnson, didn't pull away, so Johnson maybe just holding Corey and these guys up a little bit.
Yeah, Corey has been right there for a while, but just has not had the grunt in that Ferrari to get past the Castrol and McLaren.
Yeah, the McLaren's tough to pass at the best of times. The mid-range grunt is class leading. So it'll take something Luke making a bit of a mistake and Corey being able to set Luke up, but you just watch that McLaren just pull away in the power zone out of Ascari, and it's not going to make Parabolica, or Alboreto as it's now called, a passing zone for Corey. So we'll see if he can set up a move down the main straight. Definitely takes a bit of an earlier apex. Luke gets a bit of a later apex, prioritises the exit. He's pretty close. If there's ever a chance to get a toe and get alongside, this is probably where you want to be. Enough of room to get a bit of a run up.
Closing. Corey is closing. It's closing. Is he going to go for a dive? No, he backs out of it. Wants to be patient. There's still 55 minutes left in this race. So that's probably smart there from Corey Sweet. But there are opportunities starting to arise for the Ferrari driver to get past Luke Johnson.
Absolutely is. Definitely looks like he's kept his tyres in a little bit better condition. Luke, they're relying on that McLaren a bit to keep him ahead. Good, clean driving from the both of them so far. Neither car really sliding around too much, and Ali Kairuden's just sniffing around behind them, waiting to prey on any silliness, any mistakes. That Audi's there, ready to take it.
I'd say when Karuden maybe get onto the back of Corey, that maybe we might see the Audi pit in and try and see if he can keep that momentum when he comes out of the pits to leapfrog these two, because he is slowly catching, as we're mentioning here, so you can see that on your screen, that every lap he's just itching a little bit closer to them.
Well, speaking of pit stops, I'm just looking down the field. Lachlan Parker has already made both of his mandatory pit stops.
One would think that maybe one was for damage, maybe.
That is a strategy.
It is certainly a strategy. I mean, Lachlan Parkin is usually a little bit further down the field, so could just be an opportunity for him to try and find himself some track position and then maybe have to do some defending later on.
It's a long old stint. When everyone else is running sub half an hour stints, your tyres will be pretty second hand compared to everyone else's towards the end. Alex Walsh here racing for Team Alex. Still with Stan Buskovich behind him, hunting down, not close enough to make a move. That Audi is also pretty slick in a straight line.
Alex Walsh right now doing a fairly nice job. P4 in class right now, about 1.2 seconds off of a potential podium. You can see behind you have the actual Pro-Am leader with Buskovich was actually able to get past Ethan Small.
McLaren goes very deep into the second chicane. That'll have Mitch Bendyke licking his lips to get past there. And we'll keep following Alex Walsh, who's got Stan right behind him, completing very detailed investigations to the aerodynamics of the rear end of that Audi.
Yeah, I think he's going to make a move very shortly because he's caught him, and he won't be wanting to hang around, and Stan definitely got that pace on Alex at the moment.
Sorry.
See if Stan gets a really nice run through Ascara, and Alex is having to defend. Now you have Buskovich trying to shape to the inside of Alboreto, getting the bit of the side draft, and he's got the inside line, and he is going to go up. Is he side by side? Walsh trying to hold around the outside, but he's not going to hold it there. He's drifting around, nearly loses it. That's a really, really good save from Alex Walsh.
Nice move from Stan Buskovich. Good driving for both of them to keep it nice and clean, which is what we always like to see. Pete Viney is in front of an absolute pack of cars here, including Mike Reel, Palmer and Kong. Small came into the pits as well, so pit cycle's definitely starting to happen. Kong shapes up for a move on the Nissan and makes a send. Bit of a up and run. Interesting attempt at a move there from Kong, who is already carrying a 15-second penalty, mind you, for that incident on lap 1 with John Sneakers, so does need to be a little bit careful. Can't be making rush moves like that too often, as you see replay of Walsh's spectacular save, just lightens up the rear coming out of Alboreto, but saves it really well as Buskovich gets past. Quietly, he did not lift for that slide at all, but just kept the foot in it.
Now that's commitment.
Good reaction there from him too. Good reflexes. So keep it on the black stuff. But as you said, it was a great save there, Alexis.
Johnson is still holding Corey Sweet at bay. In fact, Sweet's actually fallen back a little bit. So I wonder if Sweet might just start thinking about a potential pit stop here to try and get an undercut on Luke Johnson. I think that is exactly what Corey Sweet is about. No, it's just keep it nice and tight, but
I think Corey might have made a little mistake too, because I think he dropped back a little bit further than that, and he sort of come back at him again. So while we're looking at other vehicles, so I think I did see, unless I got muddled up with Karuda's time, but I thought I seen about a second behind Johnson at one stage, a lap or so ago.
Ken Pistlewaite is the first of the front 10, you have to say, to jump into the pits. That Nissan has either emptied its tank or decided to turn its tyres into rubber marbles on the side of the track. So he's come in for the first service. Reminder to everyone, 2 mandatory stops and you must change tyres at both stops. So they'll always be 30 seconds long, as long as you don't have any damage you need to repair as well, or if you decide you want to change your brakes as well.
And Brad Cook's obviously in the chat here, supporting for a Big Johnson. He always likes a Big Johnson, Mr. Cook.
Yes, you expect nothing else from Mr. Brad Cook in chat. He always loves his Johnsons. Big ones at that.
Well, we did have Johnson and Johnson a couple of weeks ago, and he got very excited about 2 of them.
Some Johnson and Johnson action is certainly a spectacle to admire.
Following Johnson and Johnson right now, Carl on the left, Luke on the right. Absolutely no relation between the 2 of them. They are completely different families, but running the same last name, running the same car. It's about as identical as you can get, as Luke Johnson running P4, Carl running P7. Both of them continue on. We are just over 22. We're just under 22 minutes into this race, so we are definitely coming up to time for the first stop. So Mike Reel is still hunting down Pete Viney. These 2 have been joined at the hip the entire race. Pete Viney is going to come in for a pit stop. You see both race on mouse and keyboard. Yeah, absolutely. Carl doesn't use force feedback, so may as well be mouse and keyboard for a week yet.
Force feedback, that.
So who's going to pit here first, you reckon? Fellas, you reckon Sang's going to make the move, or JP? I'm hedging my bets that JP will probably go in before Sang.
I will go the other way, just because that makes for good commentary if we both have keys in the game. So I reckon JP's carrying a bit more fuel.
Oh, JP actually had a moment before, bit of a slide, yeah. Well, I'm not going to agree with either of you. I'm going to say they both pit at the same time.
Nice. I like it. We've got 3 commentators, 3 views of pit stop. How about you guys in the chat? Put it down. We see Sang in before Sonicus, or both at the same time.
Sang is not coming in, and neither is Sonicus. Their stint continues for another lap. Shady, that gap has stabilised between these front 2 and Shady at about 6.5 seconds. It's been about the same for the past little while. Shady does actually come into the pits though, so Luke Johnson, if he continues, Corey Sweet comes into the pits as well. So both Ferraris falling it enough on their set of tyres.
Trying to get any form of undercut he possibly can there on Luke Johnson.
John in chat saying JP and he started on the same amount of fuel, so JP we've got about 28 minutes on the first stop. We are coming up to some blue flag traffic. This is probably the first opportunity he has. JP has dropped a bit back from saying so far, so we'll wait and sort of see if this blue flag traffic can offer JP a chance to come back at saying a little bit.
These blue flags are probably your prime opportunity to actually come in and make a pit stop, so you can try your best to avoid them as much as humanly possible. Providing a little bit of a slipstream. Sang makes a mistake. Sang cuts the Ascari chicane, and that leaves him vulnerable now to Jean-Pierre Sneakers, who came through that Ascari chicane very, very cleanly. Will there be a potential move? No, he's too far back still, but that's going to give JP every incentive to have a spin. What happens here? Will there be any pit stop? Yes, Zanikis is in first.
Yeah, nice move actually, because as you said, he did see Sang make that mistake, so could be just those tyres just starting to, you know, say enough's enough. So Sonic is in, and see if he can get in front of Sang by the time he hits, as we saw Brian just I think get the dust, bit of dirt.
There's a window of where you can drive in Ascari that is just so narrow, and the speed that people carry through there just means that if you go a little bit wide, if you take a little bit wrong, we're going to watch a replay, munches a huge amount of curb on the way in, and then gets a bounce off one of the sausages on the second part. And given the amount of speed he carried through that third part, I wonder if he copped a bit of a track cut there. I watch Brian Kong go down, have a look down the inside of Mike Reel. Kind of puts Mike Reel off a bit, and Kong is going to run away with that. Say thank you very much. We love a freebie. And Lucas Keys, who's currently a lap down on these guys, is going to sit behind that Lexus and see if he can unlap himself and keep on his merry way as well.
That's an interesting observation by Babby in chat there. He picked up that Sang may have actually crossed the pit entry line, then jinked out of it.
I'd like to see that again.
You would definitely think he'd have picked up a track limit penalty for cutting the Ascari chicane there before. What does Sang do now? Does he come in? Does he stay out? Comes in.
It's the no,
There we go, the replay.
I think he stayed out of it, to be honest there, but our stewards will have seen it. They will be investigating as JP Sonic is coming out of Lesmo 1 into Lesmo 2. We'll see how much ground he's made up on Chris Sang, who must have had, you'd hope, have had a clean in-lap.
JP will have to spend a little bit of time getting the tyres up to scuff before he sends them around, so that might help Sang in this situation, but of course JP will have those tyres up to spec. Sang will need to do exactly what JP did on this outlap. Sang has not moved yet. Now he is moving. Where is Sang in the pit lane? He's fair way up, so I think Sang should come out ahead.
But as you said, with JP with those warmer tyres, could be an issue here where he might get a good run out of that first chicane and have the speed up through Curve of Grand and get that done. Maybe we'll soon see, but here he comes.
Pretty close.
Verstappen moments.
He's going to say something. JP is a monumental Hamilton fan, so he won't be looking to make that happen again. But warm tyres on that McLaren. Really fresh, cool tyres on the BMW for Chris Sang. We'll see if JP can make that difference work over this first sector here in Monza.
It seemed JP did get a little bit closer through that pit stop window, but just wasn't able to do anything with it, of course, not wanting to recreate past events.
This is where the BMW could be a bit vulnerable though, with those colder and the tyres not quite up to temperature and pressure.
That BMW did just look a little bit squirrely coming out of Lesmo 2, and that's brought JP right into the slipstream, and we know how poor that BMW rides the curbs through Ascari compared to the McLaren.
Look to put Chris under pressure and see if he can make the same thing happen as the lap that JP pitted. Chris gets a pretty clean run through Ascari. Better run, you'd have to say, than JP. So that'll be that for the rest of this lap. And, this battle will resume. Luke Johnson has come into the pits. Ali Kairudan takes over the lead of the race, if only technically. He is obviously yet to do his first pit stop. It'll be the two Audis leading of Kairudan and Walsh.
There's one for the history books.
This could be interesting. Johnson is moving in pit lane and is coming up to the exit. Here is Corey Sweet, who was just behind him before. Johnson is now coming up to speed. You can see There is Johnson. There is Sweet. Sweet is going to be coming up. Will he have enough? No, I don't think he will. But Johnson has compromised his line. Now we really do have a Verstappen moment. Pretty much was a Verstappen-Hamilton moment. Maybe not quite as many cars piling on top of each other, but that's allowed Sweet through, and that is going to be a very contentious move.
Yeah, a bit messy, not compared to what we just saw a lap earlier when both JP and Sang were about the same too. But look, we'll leave that one to the stewards, hey fellas?
Absolutely, and don't want to be a steward for that one because I wait to see a replay. I feel like Corey was well and truly alongside for the second part. Whether he actually was on the apex or not, we'll wait to see a replay and find out. So we're currently following our net race. So here's the replay. Corey gets on the brakes so late and keeps the car around the outside.
He
Probably
can't go
deserved the
anywhere,
room.
can he? I think he does.
He deserves. I reckon he deserved the room too. So we'll wait to see how the stewards feel about that. Johnson did lose out, so it might sort of be a natural penalty more than anything. But we do have Alex Pass, the race director, and a team of stewards who will be having a look and seeing if
Osi knocking on the door if a penalty does go to a Ferrari, I believe. So if they want to get out of here nice and safe, I think they might just let them up go.
So both the Audis have come into the pits as well. Chris Sang still leading this race. JP not letting him have a single clear, easy breath of air. He's going to have to worry about that McLaren for the rest of this race.
There's Ali Kairoon coming out. He will be in P6, so that is just behind Luke Johnson.
Carl Johnson's made up a bit of room on Ali, though, you have to say, if he's that McLaren behind.
Yes, that I believe, yeah, that is Carl Johnson. So, plenty of time made up there by Carl.
Yeah, on a charge. There's the leaderboard sorting itself out. I tell you what, I'm loving our Thursday nights here on the Simrigs Sprint Series, especially seeing Sang and Sonicus every Thursday go into battle. And look at this here is Mark Bushell trying to hold off the Porsche of Palmer.
Going a little bit too deep at the Della Roggia chicane, I'm pretty sure that one was. Mine just had a quick blank there for a minute, but
So just pointing out the pace of Sang and Sonicus, they have made up an absolute ton of time on Shady. So I don't know if Shady had a poor pit stop or what's going on, but the gap before the stop was about 6.5. It's now out to 10 seconds. Mark Bushell still under intense pressure from Palmer in that Porsche, and I think he might have been assisted there just quietly.
maybe. Just maybe. I don't think the car tends to turn like as sharply as that on its own.
If it did happen on its own, move your brake bias forward. Mark.
Yes. Certainly a unnatural incident.
I've got a sneaky replay just by watching the stream. We've got a bit of a stream delay there from the commentators watching. Mark did a bit of a dirt drop on the way in.
Yeah. Oh, he did too.
Yeah, so apologies to Palmer. There was obviously no little touch there, no little helping hand.
I mean, there was still assistance from Mother Nature.
But
yeah,
the pressure, I reckon, might have contributed a lot to that.
Yep.
The old Porsche pressure of Palmer. And Hilbert, why wouldn't you get a bit intimidated with a big eagle on the front of that Porsche as well? But look at this battle for the lead. It's going to go all the way, I think, guys. Oh, a lot of curb by Sang. Testing the suspension of that BMW. He's already tried it, as we saw before they came into their pits, and he was all over the shop. Rascari.
He's come out pretty clean though.
Yeah, he's got the exit and the lines fairly down pat here.
JP is not letting him go anywhere right now.
The halfway mark, keep pushing.
For anyone that was hoping for weather, it is going to be sunny for the rest of this race, unfortunately.
Boo.
Very, very much boo.
It's all Ben's fault.
Oh, look, I'm enjoying the actual, I think that the dry's actually given us a good motor race here at the moment. Can't shy away from
Hard
what
to
we're
disagree
seeing
with
here.
that. Race director finding a command that doesn't exist.
There we go.
Are we
always
sure
on
it's Ben
top of
Hignett
things.
broadcasting, or is it David McNulty?
Yes. Yes. Well, I mean, have we ever seen Ben Hignett and David McNulty in the same room together?
I haven't. Chat, have you seen either of the two in the same room?
But look at this one here from Rudin on Johnson.
I was actually Carl Johnson getting past Kai Rudin through the Reservoir chicane
Yes,
in turn 1 2.
Nicely done, Carl. Keep it going.
It's a stunning livery, of course. These Kovacs Triple Crown liveries based on the many real-life McLaren liveries out there.
Wagging the tail of that thing, and shout out to Pete Viney, who was racing there down in P14, who created those liveries.
They're stunning, absolutely stunning.
He is one of the masters of just little tiny details. And having spoken to him over a long, long time. There's the usual Kovacs rainbow logo. It's on the little strakes on the sort of the three-quarter window, just behind the driver and the passenger. It's now Carl Johnson, next car ahead, Luke Johnson, about 4 seconds up the road. If he can keep Ali behind him down the main straight, it's going to be a battle worth watching. You'd have to say that Audi's always pretty slick in a straight line. He's got a nice old suck to see if he can get himself alongside into the braking zone for turn 1. We'll see what the Audi's got.
Closing rapidly.
Yeah, isn't he? But there's one that's saying in the chat too, obviously he's looking forward to the battle with Johnson, so maybe at the next round of pit stops we may just see these Luke and Carl coming out together.
Pete Viney's livery in the bottom right. You like to appreciate something a bit more, a bit less realistic and more sort of fantasy.
Viney nearly clipping the back of that Mercedes there. I believe that would be the blue flagged car there. Yes, there it is. So Viney being let through.
Nice clear road in front of Viney there, and Carl's managed to put a small gap on Ali now. He won't have to stress too much about defending unless he makes a boo-boo. But the McLaren is pretty giga through Ascari. Uses every single inch of road he's got available, and he's going to get a wriggle on and see if he can get onto the back of Luke Johnson, who has fallen off the back of Corey Sweet as well. We haven't seen any penalty come through for that little battle between Johnson and Sweet at the end of their first pit stops. And at the moment, no penalties on that timing tree at all, which is again very unsplit red like.
Yep, the blood split has turned pure.
Definitely nothing like last night, where 3 of the top 4 had a penalty at the end of the race.
Fun.
We've still got 30 minutes here, guys, so there's still plenty of time to maybe...
Speak of that, there's a yellow flag at the second chicane. Car 116, I believe.
176. That'll be the
Bonholm?
yeah.
Bonholm, yeah.
Was down in P19. Still with 1 pit stop to go. Get a replay now of Andrew Bonholm. Oh,
Way
just way
too
too deep. And
You can't park there, sir.
Yeah, I thought he might have kept it off the wall, but I think that was a little touch there. It should be okay. here we go. Sonicus again. It's just been seesawing. He's been 0.5, 0.3. Just depends. There's different strengths. I think the top part of the circuit is where the McLaren's probably a little bit stronger.
John has objected to the statement presented earlier, saying that Split Blood has been quite clean.
Oh,
That was a Ferrari in the sand.
That was sweet. That was Corey Sweet.
no.
It is Corey Sweet. That is, we'll grab a replay of that as soon as we can. I think the reason JP's struggling is that BMW is just so fast in a straight line. Here's Corey Sweet on the way into Ascari.
Oh, just on the
Grabs a bit of grass on the way in. And
Big moment.
he'll be lucky not to be collected by anyone there. It is a tough place to be.
Was very lucky and spins it around again for good measure.
But just looking at that, Carl Johnson had Ali Khairudin all over the back of him once again.
Look at this for Thursday night, guys, for a bit of action.
Plenty of
Right on the
action.
back of Chris Sang.
Seeing camera 2, that is Cameron Fistleblade, who is right behind Corey Sweet, who just had that moment before.
Come on, Nissan fans. That's your support here for Cameron. Doing it for the Nissan.
That's
I remember being excited when the GDR came out about 17 years ago. I don't know how that model's still relevant.
$17 years ago. That wow.
I was going for hyperbole, but now thinking about it, it's probably not wrong.
But there again, pretty much any like fast Nissan is going to remain relevant for quite a while. I mean, all you have to do is just look at the multitude of Skylines.
Yeah, but they still sell the R35 new. So
I really think, guys, it's Sonicus just seems to be that little bit stronger late in these sessions here. So things are working really good for this McLaren late in the sessions. As how can we not miss the spandex in camera 2, the Lamborghini authentic.
bit of boring about that colour, isn't there?
Something special. It's just those pink wheels, isn't it? It's everything.
The pink highlight and the roof scoop's my favourite.
You need a sensor bar over that.
Have you got a blur on your OBS, Ben, that we can borrow?
Dear, I'm just looking down. Bonham has picked up a drive through penalty.
He'll be speeding in pit lane. He did his last stop.
Yeah. Hopefully he doesn't pick up another drive through when he comes to serve that drive through.
Yeah, don't do that.
Not ideal.
You'd have to say, Chris Sang is absolutely driving the wheels off that BMW. He is not being given a single break by JP behind. He is testing every single limit of the track that he has available.
Expect nothing less from our current split red leader.
Race and split.
Exactly right. We've got a replay here of Lucas.
Keys up the inside there.
I think he's unlapping himself. Yes.
Yeah, I think he's a lap down there on Palmer, but obviously now on probably the same lap.
Yeah, most likely. As coming out of Alboreto, Sneakers hasn't really let Sang get away, so this has been a nice topsy-turvy that maybe just a little bit off track there from Sang.
I don't know how strict the game is in terms of track cuts in that little area. I know in real life they don't care. But
I care.
We haven't heard anything from the stewards, I don't think, about that. If that was a little fake entry that he did at the round of the first pit stops, we're not too sure if it was a little twitch or not.
I don't think he did anything wrong there. He always kept on the track as far as I could see. So everyone plays on. And for the better of the stream, because this battle would have been disturbed if that was the case, and that would be a shame.
Meanwhile, as we're looking in camera 2, that is Pete Viney going around the outside of Mike Reel. Going into Alboreto, you're not going to get around the outside there, son, but what he can do is compromise the line of Reel, get the switch back. Yeah, he's trying to switch back. He's going to tuck into the slipstream of that Nissan, and he's going to start flying down that straight. That Nissan will start off strong on the straight, but will slowly crawl back to him as it progresses, because that turbo just maxes out. And yeah, as you can see, Viney getting up the inside. Mike Reel trying to close him in on the inside. Mike Reel actually breaks later. That's really well defended by Mike Reel.
Yeah, good bit of racing there. So good lesson of defending and doing it cleanly from Mike.
And also from Tarquin, not just sending it where he had no hope of making it happen cleanly. It was good driving by the both of them. Mike Reel will absolutely go way too deep into the second chicane.
That would be track limit.
He actually gained a little bit there on.
He has a little bit. Tarquin also went pretty deep as well, and but decided to keep it within the track limits. So we'll wait and sort of see if Mike decides to give up any of that time, or if he's going to keep on keeping on. These two always on the same part of the screen. No rest at all. And I don't think we can emphasise as commentators how difficult it is to drive nose to tail with someone else for as long as these two have across this race. It is so challenging to not make any genuinely significant errors, to just keep on piling on that pressure and absorbing that pressure and hoping your opponent makes a mistake. It is so tough out there for the two guys, and they are absolutely excelling.
Yeah, and at the same time too, you sometimes get that little where you start following the same driver. So if he does make that little mistake, sometimes you can follow him as well. So you are right. It's definitely an art to be able to keep that pressure on and drive so close to the back of your competitor.
You also have the dirty air and everything to contend with as well.
Yeah.
That can lead to a fair chunk of aero wash. So the fact that JP's been able to keep as close as he has is astounding, as he breaks very, very late going into Alboreto. I thought he was going straight into the back of Sang, but he's actually gone really well through Alboreto and now has the slipstream, and he is the closest he has ever been now to potentially taking back that lead. He's in the slipstream, he's closing. There's a car coming out of pit lane, so they have to be careful. Sang defends the inside line. Will Sanikas go around the outside? Sang brakes later. Sanikas is trying to hold it in there, getting on the curb, nearly contact, but Sang holds on. Really good respect shown by Sang.
Yep, enough room and a little bit more, but no more than absolutely necessary. That was brilliant driving by both of them. JP tried to hold on around the outside. We've got...
Yeah, and that was an opportunity that he was not going to leave begging there. So good driving, as we said, by Oz.
That was Mike Reel going for a little bit of an excursion before. We see some pit stops coming up now. Shady Samuel, Carl Johnson, Cameron Fizzleface, and Ethan Small all into the pits.
So tell us, when you were talking about also about Sonicus driving so long, probably this whole stint pretty much in dirty air, Alexis, will that also affect his tyres, you think?
Yes.
You know?
Yes, the tyres will be a bit hotter going in the dirty air as well, so that will have been something he'd have accounted for most likely in the pressures, but even then it's quite hot out there as is.
And just another point on top of that, because you're in the dirty air, you're sliding a bit more. It's a bit more wear on the tyres, it's a bit more heat in the surface of the tyre. It's just working the tyre a little bit harder. He does get the chance to save a little bit of fuel. Whether he can save another lap or two, probably not. He's made a bit of a gap on... he's left a bit of a gap now, saying he's probably having a bit of a rest as he comes into the pits actually, so this is probably the final chance for something to happen. You know, missing a pit stop can cost you seconds. So if he gets the box right, it's all down to Sang to also replicate getting the box right. He's got a bit of lap traffic in front of him, which hopefully won't cost him too much time.
Yeah, JP's work out for JP, couldn't it? If he does get caught up a little bit with Cameron. Cameron is a very experienced racer here at ROR.
He's a long way ahead too. So Chris has been fast, but Cam's still a pretty speedy individual, so we'll see if there is any impeding going on, but you wouldn't think so, just based on the way that Chris hasn't really made up too much time on Cam through the first sector there. We are in probably the most exciting phase of the race. Chris goes very wide on the exit of Lesmo 2. That'll cost him a little bit of time. If JP got his pit stop right, the Kovacs race control guys might jump in and let us know if he did or not. We might see a bit more side-by-side action if Chris decides to respond to JP's pit stop as well.
That would certainly be a sight to see, as we see Staying Actor getting quite the slipstream behind Fizzlefleet, who's already done his last stop. Wouldn't surprise me if Staying comes in this lap to try and cover for the potential undercut that JP is trying.
He's staying out at the moment. So we'll see Thistlethwaite have to move out of the way in accordance with the blue flag rules. He should in theory be giving Staying the racing line, but he tells him don't take the inside and gets out of it early to give Chris the racing line. So we'll see if Chris gets a good run through the first chicane. This gives JP Sonicus a lap to warm up the tyres and a lap to put a purple lap down and really put the hammer down and see if he can make up that half a second or so he was behind. This is going to be very, very tense when Chris decides to come in for a pit stop.
He's in a fair chunk of clean air too, is JP Sonicus. He has no one in front of him for a while there.
Yeah, so we think, guys, that maybe Sang has made a little mistake here, not coming in the next lap, as you just said as well, Tom, that obviously JP's going to be able to have those tyres up and probably get that next lap in, which will be a little bit quicker compared to the first round of pit stop.
I don't think he's actually made a mistake here. He got a hell of a slipstream from Thistlefleet going into turn 1, so that in turn actually helped him potentially gain a little bit more on JP Sonicus. And as we said earlier, the undercut isn't the strongest around here, but I reckon saying now that he's got a little bit of track ahead of him, he's not really in a battle as such. He might as well come in now that pretty much everyone else has come in.
We've got Scott Rochford on the screen for the first time this race. He's going to come into the pits as well with the Shark Lambo. Also another very, very interesting livery. John in chat saying that the overcut's pretty strong, so we'll wait to sort of see what the outcome of the pit stop is. See what times JP can put down.
He'll be pushing like mad.
Yeah, as I said at the top of the broadcast too, Sang has been known to actually extend and run longer than most of the other opposition, so he's obviously doing that again because it has worked for him throughout the season.
Shaping up to a very intriguing ending here for Split Red in the Monza redo.
I think Cam has got a new nickname as well from Gorilla Snapper. That's very nice.
Ah, yes, the whistle farts.
So Ali Kyrudin is still climbing all over the back of Carl Johnson. Both of these guys driving very, very strong races. Corey Sweet making his way back after that error at Ascari a couple of laps ago. But he's going to have two very, very rapid drivers to try and get through with Ali and Carl. That won't be easy, and Carl is driving an absolutely mega race to keep that Audi behind him. Currently running net P5 as Mark Bushell comes into the pits. That'll shuffle him back down the field.
Yeah, what a drive by Ali. It's, he's so strong around here at Monza. He was actually shaping up for a very, very good race last week in the wet. So it's good to see that he's still carrying that form in the dry.
Chris Sang is coming into the pit lane. So it's all up to him now to get the stop in the box absolutely perfect. Make sure you've got no damage selected, don't change your brakes, get your tyres right, and then as soon as the car drops, get the car on, get it running, get it moving. We'll wait to sort of see where JP comes up. He's just come out of Lesmo 2 now and heading down towards Ascari now. Good morning to you, Stick Death. This unfortunately isn't the usual split blood. We've actually got an exciting race rather than exciting stewarding events.
Now, come on. I've been commentating some of these ones this season. I think we've had some tremendous racing. Maybe not for the lead as such, but we've had some great battles right through the field. Kept us on the edge of the seats. But this battle for the lead, as we said, is going to be absolutely sensational.
Moving.
Got a roll in now from Sang. He's coming out of his pit bay. Very slow.
Gonna be quite tight, actually.
It's going to be very tight. That 50k's now is absolutely crawling. JP is hunting down.
JP, he's not as close as I thought he was going to be, actually. The camera angle was quite deceptive there.
So he's got one lap now. Those tyres on the McLaren are now nice and toasty. They are grippy. They are doing exactly what he wants them to do. Chris has to get those tyres on the BMW up to scratch. He has to get his lines through Ascari, through the Lesmos, absolutely perfect, while not really knowing how much grip he's got under him. This is a crucial lap for Chris to get right. He's doing it at the moment. There's a good line through Sector 2. JP wagging the tail of that McLaren to try and close the gap down on Chris. This is for the race, ladies and gentlemen. This is for the race win.
I think Sang has those tyres up to temp now, and he's just about clear for the moment.
Yeah, he's a good operator, Sang. He's shown all season so far. We did see him though have a little mistake, didn't we, guys, before the first round of pit stops coming through this Ascari, so he is human. So JP is going to keep fighting for the last 30 minutes here in this race.
Sure to bring you all the action. That is Carl Johnson, who is behind Ali Khairudin. There has been a move for P5 in this race somewhere.
Johnson on Johnson action.
Broadcaster will take you to how that move occurred and why there'll no longer be Johnson on Johnson, barring something extraordinary.
The run from Carl through Ascari, though, keeping nice and tight to the back end of the Audi of Khairudin.
There's been a bit of love for our debut broadcaster in the chat. He's done a pretty good job, you'd have to say. Not too much experience, but he's managed to make sure that we've seen absolutely everything we need to. So pretty stellar effort from you, Mr. Hignett, for following Carl Johnson here, trying to hunt down Ali Khairudin. That McLaren not really having the legs, and this lap car has caused Carl to go wide at the first chicane, unfortunately, and that's allowed Ali to slip through.
That's how it happened.
That was threading the needle if I've ever seen it.
Sure was.
So Carl's not going to let this go without a fight. He is right on the tail of that Audi. Is he going to go for a move to the second chicane? Thinks better of it. Does he feint Ali into going deep? No, Ali's a much smarter operator than that. This battle will go on a bit further. Speaking of battles, here's the view from Ali's car. Carl goes deep into the first chicane.
Oh, that was tight.
Nicely driven.
Calculated. But JP is now back on the rear end of Sang.
No rest for the wicked.
He got the slipstream now. He's gaining pretty quick. Sang having to defend. Oh, he moves back. That's... Ooh.
Nose to tail. Doesn't get any closer than that.
I wonder if something like that is counted as two moves. Because Sang sort of moved over to the inside and then returned to the racing line again. So maybe just a bit of indecision there from Chris Sang.
Yeah, Yeah, I think he'll be right though, to be honest. But yeah, he did move around a little bit, but I think he was safe enough to get back in that area in the braking.
It nearly caused the calamity as Sneakers was nearly into the back of the BMW, but so far they've kept things nice and clean.
JP just wants to put a little bit more colour in the BMW here. It's got marks all over with the pretty flashy livery.
Beautiful livery. Lovely purple, white and black there.
But the battle for P5 as Chris Sane goes wide on the exit of Ascari. That'll give JP a sniff on the straight towards what used to be known as Parabolica. And it'll be up to Chris Sane now to make sure he absolutely nails the exit there. Carries as much speed as he can and tries to get as far away from that McLaren as possible, because he is absolutely in the slipstream now. And Chris is going to make his intentions absolutely crystal clear on the pit straight as to how he's going to treat that first corner. He's decided to abandon his defence because he is far enough in front of JP Sonicus. So he gets away with one on the exit of Ascari there. But that'll have JP licking his lips going, if I can make him do that again and be a bit closer, we can make this really, really, really exciting.
Yeah, I think he's got his attention at Ascari, I think, JP. I know that we've talked a little bit about saying he's sort of pushing the boundaries to get as much curb as he can. So if Sonicus can just get him to get his turn in a little bit wrong by putting that pressure on Sang, there's a big possibility that we might see a move up here shortly.
Just on camera too, that battle between Kyrudin and Johnson has been joined by Sweet, who's making his way back after a not-so-sweet boo-boo at Ascari. He's putting on so much pressure to Ascari is Sonicus. See what sort of run he's got out of there. He's not as close as he was last lap, but now's the time to sort of make sure that if you can try and get Sang to go a little bit deep into the final corner and compromise his line on the way out, just try and set up a move, not make it happen in the first instance, but give yourself a chance a bit later in the race. There's 7 and a bit minutes to go. We count the laps on one hand. Carl Johnson is climbing all over the back of that Audi as well. We've got 2 very, very close battles in the top 10. This is why we sign up to watch these things, guys. Girls, it is absolutely great watching.
Absolutely getting these nail-biting finishes. As Carl Johnson is now on the outside of Ali Kyrudin at Alvaretto. It's going to be a tough position to get that move done, but he's holding, he's lost the rear end, little bit of rubbing there of Ali Kyrudin, but now he's having to tuck back into the slipstream and go again on that Audi, but that Audi is very quick in the straight line, so it's going to be tough for Carl, but he's closing, he's having to go around the outside again, now into the side draft. He's got the overlap now. How deep will they break? Nearly contact again. Carl Johnson goes way too deep, has to be careful on the rejoin. Manages to avoid making contact with the Audi, but Ali Kyrudin holds on for now. Carl Johnson is right there. But has to be careful because Corey Sweet is ready to capitalize on any mistake that he makes.
Absolutely spectacular racing all around at the moment. JP still hunting down Chris Sang. Blue flag Lucas Keys getting out of the way. Both cars come around to start another lap. Chris Sang with a bit more of a gap this time around than last lap. A bit more breathing space. But that's just more room for JP to find a bit more clear air, a bit more slipstream and getting that little bit closer on the next lap. So hold on, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have an absolute cracker of a finish for you, and it's coming up over the next 5 and a bit minutes.
Corey's got a, oh, he's going to save his run wide. It looked like he had some pace coming through Ascari there, but that might have compromised getting out onto the dirt.
He's close to Carl, and then Carl is to Ali. So Carl's going to have to think very carefully about how he approaches these next couple of corners. He's got a bit more gap on him out of the final corner. I don't think he's close enough to Ali to bother with a move into turn one. But as I say that, he's gotten right up on the back end of that Audi. He's going to poke his nose down the inside. He's got the inside line, he's got the apex. If he can make it stick into the second part, kind of blocks Ali on the way out. Very, very nicely done, Carl. That is P5, and now can you hold on to it? Because Ali and that Audi is going to make you work so hard through Curva Grande and through the second chicane.
Yeah, it's not over here, is it, Tom?
Ali's gone down the inside. That is such a narrow little gap. And
Wow,
Corey Sweet,
that was stunning. Absolutely stunning from Ali Kairugan.
Now, if you're going to have a reply, that's one, isn't it? Right there, that we've just witnessed there from Ali. Awesome driving. Oh, no!
Carl. Oh, what a save! Oh, but he's got on the grass again, overcorrecting, and now he saved it again.
Oh, I don't know how many more lives he got, guys. I'll just tell you what. Maybe the Kovacs crew needs to put a big cat on the top of that roof.
Let's put Corey Sweet onto the back of Ali Kairugan now. Giving him P6. We'll see if he can make a bit of a dent in that lead. We'll grab a replay of how Ali fainted back, didn't let Carl make another move to the inside, and absolutely nailed the braking into turn 2 there. And then I hope this replay continues, because I want to see how Carl managed to goes a bit wide of the exit Lesmo one, grabs a bit of grass, holds on to it, keeps it full throttle, and then grabs a bit of grass on the way into Lesmo 2, and somehow keeps it facing the correct way. Carlos, please.
That's exactly right. And here we go with just over 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes remaining. So we're going to see another lap after this one. And geez, it's still on.
Just Sang go a little bit wide out of Lesmo 2, but Jean-Pierre Sneakers is still just having to bide his time, although doesn't have a lot of time left. Uses all the curb he possibly can. Gets a pretty clean exit, but Sang equally gets a nice exit. It's going to be interesting to see how many more laps we have. It depends how long it takes for them to get around the Alboreto curve. But I think we will be going on to the last lap once Sang crosses the line.
Really close.
Be very, very close.
Very close.
What times are they actually doing? That's the question.
If they're in the 47s.
They're in the 46s. This is going to be really tight.
Hopefully, everyone's got enough fuel.
Yeah, if they're going to go one extra lap, but I tell you what, it's going to have to be a fairly, very fast last lap here to get them through for one more lap. So this looks like it may be the last lap.
We shall see, but either way, Jean-Pierre Sneakers is just starting to fall back now from the BMW. Chris Sang has been unbelievably good tonight. Super clean, super consistent. Really only one error as JP gets super close in the braking zone for the De La Rocha chicane.
I don't know if I'm more excited for this battle or whether they're going to do another lap after this. It's going to be so close for both.
Yeah, why not both?
You can also see camera 2, a lot of action as I think it is Corey trying to see if he can pick up position 5 from Ali.
Apologies to everyone else in this race, but these two battles have just been ongoing. And it's been very, very hard to take our eyes off them. And that is Corey Sweet right on the back of Ali. Both cars a little bit out of shape on the way into that second chicane.
Viewers want him one extra lap. They want one extra lap, but is it going to happen, guys? It's going to be close, as you said.
I don't think it's going to happen. I think This will be it. 10 seconds to go. Chris Sang rounding the Alboreto curve. Is he going to get across for one more lap? It's going to be super, super tight, but I think that will just about do it.
It's done.
Yes, it is. Right on the border. Chris Sang takes the win there. The redo at Monza for round 4 of the Octane Online Racing Simrigs Sprint Series for Split Red. John Piasenica so close in the end, and Shady Samuel, a really clean race coming across in P3. Now, we have to keep an eye on camera too, as that is Corey Sweet moving to the outside, and will Ali hold on? Corey around the outside of the Alboreto curve. This is going to be super, super tight. They're going to be side by side as they cross the line, but I think the straight line speed of the Audi will get it done, and Ali Kairudan will finish in P5. Corey Sweet agonizingly close, less than a tenth behind in P6. Wow, what a race.
Great motor race, guys. Hope everyone enjoyed that. That was sensational driving.
Just, the rest of the cars coming along the track now. Carl Johnson. So Luke Johnson was the silver class winner. Carl Johnson P2 in that one. And it looks like, I can't sort of see, Buskovus won the Pro-Am race in the Ferrari. And Ethan Small, number 148 in the McLaren, was your AM winner as well. So that was an absolute cracker, guys and girls. That was... Oof. We don't do that, guys.
No.
People have wheels that can break fingers.
Wasn't it?
So, yeah, that was, we've still got a little couple of cars to come across the line, but I think Bushell and Kong is probably a pretty close little battle. I don't know if we can grab... Everyone's done now, I think. We've got one more car, but that's it. So, that was Split Red. And that is the end of the Monza round of the Simrigs Sprint Series for Octane Online Racing. That was an absolute ripper of a race. Don't know about how you guys felt, but that was awesome.
That was unbelievable as we head into the race results, and it was Sang on top with a really clean, consistent performance with the fast lap as well. Look at how close it was to nearly getting another lap in. 33 thousandths, as the track is actually greasy right now, so we did get some rain after the race. But it was only 33 thousandths off of getting another lap in was Sang, so it was right on the border. But Sang coming out on top from John Pierre Sneakers, Shady Samuel, Luke Johnson, and Kai Rudin, your top 5. So we'll take a look at the silver class.
Come on, Ben. Silver. Quick. There we go. Luke Johnson won the silver class. Carl Johnson, a valiant P2, battling all the way through the race. And Ken Thistlethwaite in P3 in the GTR. And in the Pro-Am class, we got Sam Buskovus in the Ferrari, Mike Reel in P2, and Brian Kong, after a couple of incidents on the way along, finished the race in P3 for Pro-Am. And in AM, Ethan Small P1, a long way ahead of Robin Herbert in P2, and the other two unfortunately didn't quite see the finish. So one hell of an end to the Monza round. Mike Reel doing a couple of donuts to celebrate the end of that race. Driver of the day, Alexis, who was your driver of the day for that race?
Yeah, it's hard to look past Sang. He qualified third and managed to move his way up in the P1 and hold on in a car that probably wasn't the most favoured around here, and defended valiantly. So for me, it'd have to be Sang, just out of pure consistency.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you there, Alexis, as well. I think Sang just, the cream always comes to the top, and as you said, that defensive driving by Sang was pretty impressive. Awesome. Good job.
And finding it very difficult to choose between the two sort of real defenders, Ali Kairudan and Sang, but I think I agree with both of you. Absorbing all that pressure for the entire 70 minutes was just an extraordinary effort. So Chris Sang, probably votes for you.
If you enjoyed that, make sure you come back next week when we got Paul Ricard for the next round. So that should be a very good round there with the long straights that we see at Paul Ricard.
And thank you, chat, as always, for your contribution to the racing and to the broadcast. It's always a pleasure to have you here. Thank you, Alexis, and thank you, Neil, for joining me for that pretty excellent bit of racing. It's always a pleasure to join in the box with you both.
Likewise.
And thank you to our broadcaster, Ben Higdon, and to our sponsor, Simrigs. It has been Split Blood from Monza, everyone. We will catch you next week at Poricard.